Okay, so what I'd like to do is look at the second half of chapter 6. Last time we met, we looked at the first half. It's about patience. The second half is also, of course, about patience. So it's a very long chapter, and it's been divided into two. So it begins on page 189 of No Time to Lose. And first I want to raise something that is important particularly to Zen practice, and to recognize that this particular book is part of the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, so it's a little bit different than Zen. And one of the hallmarks of Zen is the raising of doubt, to put doubt into our, to question what we're reading, and see if it really actually makes sense for us. And so when I really appreciate Shantideva. I think he's amazing, and Pema Chodron's commentary on this is really, really good. I have some doubts, though, about this next piece, the second half of chapter 6. In particular, the very first verse here, this is 6.52, it says, "The mind is bodiless. By no one can it be destroyed, and yet it grasps the body tightly, falling victim to the body's pain." When I read this, I thought, I'm not sure if I can get my mind, I don't know if I can get behind this completely. I've heard certain yoga practitioners talk about this, the Anatman in the yogic tradition, and this is the idea of a soul transmigrating from one body to the next and next. And this one person in particular was very helpful. He seemed to suggest that it's not the same dualism that we have in the West between body and mind. But when I read this particular verse and the few verses that follow them, I can't help but bring memories of a Cartesian dualism. Descartes says, "I think, therefore I am." And this philosopher has really shaped the way that we think in the West, splitting apart body and mind. And that has had really deep consequences for the way that we perceive the world. And this verse sounds to me, and again, I'm not an expert on Shantideva by any means, but this verse sounds to me very, very similar to that kind of thinking of a separate body from the mind. Let me read it again. "The mind is bodiless. The mind is bodiless. By no one can it be destroyed." This is different from what the Buddha originally taught of Anatman, right? That there is no soul that transmigrates from one life to the next. So the Buddha really that was his critique of the yogic traditions of his day. And I feel like, the way of the Bodhisattva it's an Indian text. And I wonder, I don't know, again, I'm not a scholar here, but I wonder how much that kind of philosophy of a enduring soul has crept into this. Because if you go into China and the Chinese Buddhist text, there's not this same distinction between body and mind. But if I read another couple of stanzas here, say, "Scorn and hostile words and comments that I do not like to hear, my body is not harmed by them. What reason do you have, O mind, for your resentment?" So again, it's this, I notice this kind of split between body and mind, that it might be okay. I can't say for sure. It might be okay for some people. I also wonder how much it encourages a kind of dissociation, right? So the body's here, the mind is elsewhere, or the mind is not affected, right? So if you put yourself, I mean, a potential consequence of this teaching is that it affirms kind of dissociating from the body, which can also have really negative consequences for us. So I want to just draw that caution into this particular chapter. Again, I don't know Shantideva's teachings enough to say that this is a problem, but I do have some questions about it, and so I'm going to put a question mark on it and just leave it there. And encourage you all to question it too. The Buddha wasn't saying we should just accept things as they're taught, even if it's by a sage, even if it's by a Buddha, but to find out and see if it's helpful for you. As Westerners, we come to Buddhism often, or meditation often, with this body-mind split. And this is what meditation can also potentially heal. But when I see it written in an ancient text like this, it seems to reinforce that split. And so I just want to put that out there. Right. Thank you.